Deputy Holly Cairns.
Minister, can you provide an update on the status of the ban of large trawlers over 18 metres operating in inshore waters? Last month, the Court of Appeal refused your application to continue a stay on the ban. I realise that it's a matter that you inherited, but it's a really important one for many fishers, the marine sector and our coastal ecosystems.
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you, Deputy Cairns, for the question. So, the programme for government commits, as you know, to ensuring that inshore waters continue to be protected for smaller fishing vessels and recreational fishers, and that pair-trawling will be prohibited inside the 6-mile limit. And I'm fully supportive of this objective, as I know you are as well. As you may be aware, in December 2018, the then Minister announced that vessels, Michael Creed, who demonstrated very strong commitment in relation to this, in setting this direction, announced that vessels over 18 metres will be excluded from trawling in inshore waters inside the 6 nautical miles from the 1st of January 2020. A transition period of 3 years for vessels over 18 metres targeting sprat was allowed to enable adjustment for these vessels, as the sprat fishery is concentrated inside this area. Policy Directive 1 of 2019 was introduced in March 2019 to give effect to the changes. A judicial review was taken by 2 applicant fishers challenging the validity of the Policy Directive. On the 6th of October 2020, the High Court judgment held that the Policy Directive was made in breach of fair procedures and is void and of no legal effect. I appealed that decision to the Court of Appeal, and a full hearing took place on the 22nd of June last, and judgment on the case is reserved. I also sought an extension on the stay on the order of the High Court, which was granted by the Court of Appeal on the 19th of March last, reinstating the Policy Directive. On the 23rd of September last, the Court of Appeal refused my application to continue the stay further. This refusal means that vessels over 18 metres have resumed trawling in the waters inside 6 nautical miles. I'm now currently awaiting the decision, Deputy, of the Court of Appeal to inform my next steps. As the matter is sub judice, obviously I can't comment further until the matter can be resolved before the courts at the moment.
Deputy.
Thank you for the clarification and your ongoing work to protect the inshore waters. The reality is that within a few days or even a day following the recent court decision, I was getting reports of large vessels operating by the coast, often within Bantry Bay in West Cork. It's a major concern for local professions and organisations. The issue has now been going back and forth for over a year, and the uncertainty on the ban will probably continue for some time. So, Minister, can you explain why the Department hasn't begun a new consultation process as a backup if the eventual court ruling finds definitively against the directive, which we know is a possibility? Groups are rightly concerned that at the end of the legal proceedings, the process might have to start all over again, with all that time lost. So why not have a fresh consultation as a redundancy, given that that's why this was overturned in the first place, that the consultation wasn't adequate?
Yeah, well, these matters are always very complex, and as we know, are always very much subject as well to legal challenge. So because I don't have the actual decision from the Court of Appeal at the moment in relation to their judgment on the previous process, then it would certainly be premature to commence a new consultation in advance of that, Deputy Cairns, because I have to be very much informed and have the full information at my hand in relation to the legal view in relation to the previous process. So listen, I have to wait that. Obviously my commitment is really clear in relation to the fact that this is something I want to deliver, and obviously that commitment is clear as well in relation to the fact that I took an appeal to the previous decision under having taken legal advice in relation to the strength of that. So I will await now the outcome of which is really the only option available to me. That should come soon. As soon as I have that, I'll give it my full consideration and then plot out how I proceed.
Deputy Cairns.
Thanks. And, I think you can see why groups are calling for it. And I think the situation is difficult to unravel for people. I know that you don't have the decision from the court, but you do know why it was overturned in the first place, because of the consultation process. So I'm just saying that if this doesn't work out, that if we had started the consultation process already, there'd be less time lost. Another potential solution mentioned to me would be a statutory instrument to restrict inshore pair-trawling or activities by large vessels. Is that something that you're considering? As I said, the matter is likely to go on for some time, or I don't know if you have a time frame. But finally, this issue directly affects the inshore fishing sector. It's a substantial cohort of coastal and island communities who are often overshadowed by the bigger players. Their representative groups need PO status, and I recognise your work so far in granting some PO status, but any additional support and guidance which can be given to the remaining organisations to get that status is vital. Inshore fishing is a sustainable practice and part of our coastal heritage that supports livelihoods of hundreds of families and entire communities.
Minister, to conclude.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Cairns. So, listen, the inshore sector is one that I very much value and is really, really important to the coastal communities right along the coast. It has been great to see how they've strengthened in terms of their organisational capacity in recent months, in the last couple of years. I'm certainly fully supportive of that, and I know that there is an application under consideration for PO status as well, and I was glad to be able to award PO status to the Irish Island Marine Resource Organisation as well, representing the islands a few months ago. And I think that has really served, that strengthening of the organisation has really served the inshore sector very well. And we can see that coming through in all the meetings that I'm having, the coherence and strength with which they're making the representation. But this is an important particular issue to them. I think there was a lot of merit.
On the statutory instruments, would you consider a statutory instrument?
The statutory instrument to do...
On the ban on pair-trawling, sorry.
Well, again, anything I would have to do, Deputy, I would have to do a consultation on it in advance, as well as my understanding. But listen, whenever I do
start that now.
Thank you, Minister.
Again, I think it's important that I have the full information from the legal process that's concluded before I make any decisions, because we don't want any unnecessary
Moving on
flaws in the future.
An chéad ceist eile, I cheacht the Met Cart.